welcome everyone to the Water, Oceans, and Wildlife Subcommittee hearing, our first hearing of the year. And yes, the acronym for this subcommittee is WOW. I think that's appropriate when you consider the broad jurisdiction we have and the makeup of the subcommittee, which includes several returning members and quite a few new members. I look forward to working with every one of you. I'm excited to chair this subcommittee because our jurisdiction encompasses so many issues that I care deeply about, many of which I've spent most of my career working on. That includes water supply, protecting habitats and wildlife, managing coastal and marine environments and fisheries and sportsmen's issues, just to name a few. These are critically important things, and I am looking forward to working with our new ranking member, Mr. McClintock. Congratulations, Tom. To find a fresh start at finding common sense, scientifically based solutions to the challenges and opportunities we'll confront. I've thought a lot over the past 6 years in Congress about things that I would try to do differently if I ever got a chance to hold one of these. And I know that I am just one person in a big institution that is somewhat ossified. But I want to try some new things here at the WOW in this Congress. And first, as complex and challenging as these resource issues can be, I want to challenge the assumption that our job is simply to fight about them. Frankly, it's one of the things that's frustrated me the most over the past 6 years. Not that we have differences, we obviously have differences. But somewhere along the line, people stopped trying to find consensus on tough issues. They stopped even trying to develop a common understanding of the baseline facts and science before jumping right in to the partisan fights. And for the most part, they even stopped trying to make policy in an open, deliberative, and inclusive way that should follow from that work to develop a common baseline of facts and science. Now, I know that this place has been hardwired for partisan combat for a long time. We may not always succeed, but I am going to at least try to do all those things as the chair of the subcommittee. Toward that end, I have already begun reaching out to every member of the subcommittee of both parties. I want to sit down and get to know each other and think about things that we might be able to collaborate on. I consider myself chair of the whole subcommittee, not just members from my party. And that means that if any member has a good idea, I want to encourage it. If any member proposes something I don't support, I'm not just going to say no. I will try to work with you and see if there are creative ways to get to yes. I would love to see every member of this subcommittee move at least something forward with bipartisan support, and I hope you'll consider my staff and I to be resources if you want to do that kind of work. Another change I'm hoping to implement involves the witnesses we invite to hearings. I spoke to Ranking Member McClintock about this and directed my staff to take suggestions from all members, reach across the aisle so that instead of always having only Democratic and Republican witnesses, we can include at least one joint witness whenever that is possible. We're going to be busy in this subcommittee. In addition to resetting the factual and scientific baseline on big issues, we need to bring a lot of new members up to speed, and that's why we're holding a series of informational and oversight hearings that I informally refer to as WOW 101. Today's the first of these, and we're focusing on the health of our oceans. By the way, another change I'm promising involves the titles of our hearings. I've seen too many hearings with inflammatory titles that read like angry partisan ransom notes. When the very title of your hearing tees up a partisan fight, it's hard to work together. And so we're going to be a little less inflammatory, substantive, and active in our hearings for these titles. Today we're focused on oceans and coastal communities that depend on them, which is a big deal no matter where you live. If you're part of the 40% of the United States living in coastal shoreline counties, you probably already get it. These communities depend on ocean-related industries like fisheries, tourism, and shipping. Businesses and jobs directly dependent on oceans and Great Lake resources contribute $352 billion to our GDP in this country. They employ over 3 million Americans. And even if you live far from the coast, the health of oceans should matter to you. It affects the air we breathe, it affects the food we eat, and the livability of our climate. As we'll hear today, things are not going so well for our oceans and coastal communities. Major threats include ocean acidification, increased frequency and intensity of storms, vanishing polar ice caps, melting permafrost, pollution, overfishing, sea level rise, harmful algal blooms. The list goes on. This hearing isn't specifically a tee up a flag about climate change. I do want to underscore that. But you can't have a serious conversation about the health of our oceans and coastal communities without acknowledging the growing impacts of climate change, and we'll hear more about that from experts today. The 23 members on this subcommittee, well over half represent districts that are at least close to the shore. Those of us representing those type of districts are seeing the impacts already firsthand. But it's important to know that every district in this country benefits from oceans, and every district is impacted by their failing health. So with that, I will now introduce the witnesses, and I'd like to, perfect timing. I want to invite my colleague from South Carolina to introduce our first witness, if Congressman Cunningham is ready.
Queen Quet.
Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure to introduce my constituent, Queen Quet Marquetta Goodwine.
Chiefess of the Gullah Geechee Nation. Queen Quet is the chiefess of the Gullah Geechee Nation, a culturally distinctive African American group from the Low Country region of Georgia and South Carolina. She founded the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition, the premier advocacy organization for the continuation of her nation's culture. In 1999, she became the first Gullah to speak before the United Nations. Very impressive. That's where she testified at a hearing of the Commission on the Commission of Human Rights. Queen Quet is a published author and environmental justice advocate, and I am honored to call her constituent of South Carolina's first district. Please give a warm welcome.
Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. I'm chilling. I'm so glad to be here this afternoon and things like that. And on behalf of all the Gullah Geechee Nation, the ancestors, and everybody with their own family, we want to thank Congressman Cunningham. We want to thank the chair and all of this just subcommittee and things like that. And so, as I just said to you, thank you so much for having me here today. And I said it to you in my native tongue, which is the Gullah language. So many people who have said, well, I never heard that language before, obviously have never been to this land where I'm from. We literally live in the Atlantic Ocean on islands called the Sea Islands, from Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. And you will often hear native Gullah Geechee say, the water will bring me, the water will take me back. And many of you have even sung our songs, the spirituals, that are my South Carolina state music now, where we say that God will trouble the water, wade in the water. And so I'm very happy to be able to bring this flow from the Sea Islands up the hill this time, so that we can sit together and talk about our love of the oceans. Because of course, for us as Gullah Geechees, the land is our family and the waterways are our bloodline. So it's a great concern and grave concern to us when we find that pollutants, poisons, overbuilding, acidification, erosion, and all of these things are now compounding as elements within the water that's changing the ecology of the water. So as someone that likes it now, I'm going to dig up the creek. So we love to eat seafood, and I'm sure all of you who come down there, we all would love to eat some too. We've seen those seafoods changing. We've seen less in certain stocks. We've seen where the catfish no longer flow around St. Helena Island. So as a founding member of the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association, these are the things that made us form as a group to make sure that our voice is heard in the national discussions about what can we do to go ahead and have these tides that are rising lift all of our boats together. We make the battle boat. You might have a yacht, but trust me, if that tide is moving and we all out there, we're going to flow with it or we're going to fight against it. And I agree with the chairman. It shouldn't be about the fight. It should be about us being able to sit together the same way we do on our beautiful sea islands beneath those oak trees, even with a little sweet tea. I know up here you won't put the sugar until later. We put it in the beginning so that we can have some sweet discussions about this powerful element that we as human beings are all made of, water. And so when we talk about healthy oceans and healthy economies, I wanted to make sure that you also realize we have to talk about healthy communities. And so as I prepared to come here 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden the Creator put the words into my mind of an acronym for the ocean. That I was to come here to ask you to be a part of opening culturally enriched avenues of navigation. So that when we talk about the ocean and the sea, we're not just talking about the fish. We're not just talking about the shrimp, but we're talking about the cultural communities that live from these fisheries, that have lived in harmony and balance with them for all these generations. A Gullah Geechee proverb says that big fish are now going to be fish. And so often we think that the people that are higher up in the hierarchy of government are the big fish and all the rest of us are little. But I always tell people, but a school of piranha can definitely fight back together against that big old whale. And so we know this is a whale of a number of issues, but I'm sure we can navigate this together in such a way that those whales will follow our boats the way our dolphins and porpoises do on a beautiful sea island day. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here, to engage in dialogue with you, and to be a part of something that I know is definitely a wow to have all these women here today to say, as mothers of the earth, that we are here to help nurture our oceans. So thank you, Honachilla, for having me this year, right here, during Black History Month. Yes, there you go.
I think a lot of us want to get down to Mr. Cunningham's district.
Come on down, we'll fry you some fish.
Very quickly, Ms. Quet, Queen Quet, I did an amendment in this committee a few months ago trying to designate Cajuns as endangered species. Trying to get endangered species protection. Perhaps we can do your folks as well. Congressman Cunningham and I can work on that. But seriously, I appreciate y'all being here. Looking forward to working with
And
y'all.
I would appreciate you doing that
There we
today.
go.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Cunningham's right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you may know, protecting the coast of South Carolina
to effect a 10-year moratorium on oil and gas, pre-leasing, leasing, and related activities on the outer continental shelf, and that includes the North Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic, South Atlantic, and the Straits of Florida planning areas, and in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Our oceans are at an increasing risk from the impacts of climate change. We've heard it in the testimony here today from warming waters, and we see those impacts in South Carolina. We see hurricanes intensifying and presenting a more clear and present danger. Climate change is an immediate threat. It's the gravest non-military threat to our world, and we have to take it seriously. And I appreciate each and every one of you all taking the time to provide testimony here today, because we realize what's at stake, and not just the beautiful beaches, but also our culture. And I appreciate Queen Quet coming up here and to testify as to that, and the Gullah Geechee corridor, and making sure that corridor is preserved beyond 2021 and 2022, which we'll talk about at a later date. Queen Quet, I wanted to give you the opportunity and educate the rest of the committee as to the Gullah Geechee culture, why it has such an impact on South Carolina and our region, and why it is of the utmost importance that culture be preserved, and how intertwined culture and the oceans are, and the impact of climate change, and what you would suggest that this committee do to take its first step in addressing that.
Well, thank you greatly for all the work you've done in a short period of time that you have been seated here up the hill from the low country. All right, because we come from the flat area, you know that. So one of the things that is so powerful in what you asked about is how to deal with climate change and deal with culture. And I think it's important for this committee and all of the policy setters, not just in the U.S. but around the world, to calculate cultural heritage. You can't. I'm a mathematician and computer scientist by degrees. You cannot actually calculate the cost of the loss of all the cultures that are the communities that are along these coasts. We've heard all the different percentages of how many communities of the world, how much coastline in the world is part of what feeds the rest of the world. 80% of the country is being fed from these coastal communities. So if we don't listen to the people who live on the land, live from the water, live in the water, about how they've sustained themselves, we won't be able to form the right policies, whether we're dealing with resilience, sustainability, climate change, sea level rise, or any of these things. And so we formed the Gullah Geechee Sustainability Think Tank 8 years ago to start to look at a lot of these issues before there were even some of the scientific data that we've been talking about today. Because we knew Gullah Geechee culture would not continue to thrive or survive if we get displaced from the Sea Islands. And so it's critical to us that this committee start to look at where is the money. I heard that term in this room today, follow the money. Well, follow the money because it proves what you truly are vested in and investing in. And I believe that if we put the money back directly in the hands and the pockets of the people literally living on the shorelines, it can make all the difference in the world. Because when you take the Lili children like Alicia and you teach them about the water from that age, they'll be just like me when they get older. They will realize the value of the coast and what they need to do as individuals and what they shouldn't do as individuals, so that collective consciousness will continue to move this whole process forward and be able to reverse a lot of what we did when we didn't know any better. And so I think that we need to invest more in citizen science. We need to invest directly in the cultural communities and the people there instead of consultants that fly in from elsewhere and parachute in and parachute out and just write a paper and make a PowerPoint about us while we're still there trying to yet hold on. So I think it's critical that we work together. And that's why I said what I said earlier, that we need to make this a culturally relevant discussion, because there are things that we know from over 400 years on the Sea Islands that nobody else knows. And now everybody in the scientific world is looking at us saying, hey, maybe they had something that we all need to know, because they're still there, and they don't leave when they say evacuate. And we'd have been there, and we still ain't going nowhere, tall. I go be there when you get home.
I appreciate Quet and educate people, both Zinnias and Cummias, on the different types of cultures that make the Low Country a special place to live. And I thank the rest of the panel as well, and everyone who put the time and effort to get here to educate the community. And I yield back to the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you, Ms. Celeste.
All right, here we are. Just concluded a subcommittee hearing from the Natural Resources Committee, and I am proud to have one of my new favorite constituents, Queen Quet here, who provided testimony as to the impact of climate change and how it affects people in the Low Country, specifically the Gullah Geechee culture. And I just want to turn it over to her and have her give a little snapshot as to her testimony today and what was stated. Go ahead.
Well, I'm so glad for day. You're right here. This is a good buddy of mine. He ain't been no tell just now, okay? But we've been standing together to protect our shores for a little long while now. Y'all know how we say that down south, innit? And so we have been fighting together, standing together against offshore drilling. We're going to keep doing that. I'm so proud of him that that's the first thing he did on his first day up this hill from the Low Country. And so I'm happy to have climbed the hill to be here for crack my teeth like this and things like that for let until I know that to deal with these ocean and things. See, we done did it upon the ocean. And so definitely as Gullah Geechees, a lot of people aren't aware that South Carolina has our unique cultural community on our Sea Islands, and so it's a blessing to have the opportunity to further educate people here on the Hill about sea level rise, climate change, adaptation, resilience, but especially about how to keep the ocean as healthy as possible, how we can help mitigate damage against it, how we can try to live in balance like Gullah Geechees normally do. And so, I reminded them today about wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God want trouble the water. They couldn't sing them like a widow, so we just talked about it. But we have begun a dialogue, a journey together that I hope will bring the congressmen and congresswomen down our way to the low country from down the hill so that we can show them our shore and get them shouting together about how blessed we are to have the pristine waterways that we have in the Carolinas and how they can help invest and keeping it that way, keeping our oceans healthy and keeping we healthy too. So thank you, Joe. We looking forward to it. We gonna fry you some fish when you get home.
There you
All
go.
right.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I can't follow up on that. I just want to say thank you for speaking truth up here and letting people know the impacts to the low country and the culture and everything you're doing. Thank you. And
Appreciate it.
and thanks for tuning in.
All right.
All right. We'll catch up with you
Peace and
soon.
blessings, y'all.
Mm-hmm.